Hey everyone, my name is Edelyn and this is for Module 3 Discussion A. The first question is, this unit addresses specific political issues surrounding immigration. What was your reaction to this faceted class? I guess this would be pertaining to the video. I think my reaction was that it was sad, shocking, heartwarming. It was a bunch of emotions into one. It was sad to see these students under the age of 18 having to experience, their parents or one of their parents be taken away by ICE, and still having to go to school and, do what they're supposed to, but yet come home and stress, worry about how are we going to eat, how are we going to get money to pay bills or to live, to keep the roof over our heads, to keep clothes on our backs, to get to school, so that was pretty sad. It was also kind of heartwarming to know that these teachers, that especially that one lady, that one teacher who was, I'll do anything to help my kids, or she said that her job title as a teacher is to teach them the curriculum, teach them the ways, but aside from that, it's also making sure her kids are okay, making sure her students are okay, and their families, help them with whatever they need, whenever they need it. I think that was, heartwarming. I think I would be the same way too, if I see one of my students struggling, I'm going to help them out, with what I can and if I can, I know a lot of the things is we have to be careful too because it can come back and backfire on us as well. Simple things though, like I know it was called out a couple years ago, and I seen one of my students with her mom and her husband and brother walking in the cold to the store, and I was like, hey, I drove by, I picked them up, took them to the store, and I took them back home, something simple like that, and it meant the world to them, and it just brought our relationship closer. My reaction was that it was a ball of emotions. It was heartwarming, it was sad, it was shocking, all those into one ball. Question 2 is, what is your personal and family immigration story, and how does that life and family history connect with your current understandings on immigration and early childhood education? I don't personally have anything or any immigrants in my family, but my husband's side does. My mother-in-law is actually, I guess, an immigrant. She has her visa, and I know one of the things that was scary was, the whole political elections and stuff like that, where there was talk of deportation and things like that, and it had scared my mother-in-law because on her visa it doesn't have an expiration date, and I guess on these new ones they do. So, everybody was freaking out. She called and they said, no, just because yours doesn't have an expiration date because it was an older one, she's okay till like 2033 or something. It was for a very long period of time. I think it connects to my current understandings on immigration and early childhood education because, not knowing, I guess, the scare of the unknown. We don't know if she could have been taken, or we didn't know the whole rules, the whole aspects of being taken in by ICE or anything like that, being sent back to where she was from, and that put a lot of strain on her grandchildren who were, I think one was here in Head Start and one was in 1st, 2nd grade. That put a big strain on them. Even her youngest daughter, who was in 4th grade, they were glued to that TV watching, oh, is my grandma going to go? Is my grandma going to be picked up and taken away? Are we going to lose my grandma? That was their questions. These kids were like glued to that TV watching the election. So I'm like, what kids these age watch the election? So I think that was really scary, and it put a strain on them. They didn't want to leave my mother-in-law's side, like, I'm not going to school, I'm not doing anything, and then, they started to develop a hate towards the cops, which is, you don't want that to happen because it's not their fault, but, what can we say, what can we do? Question 3 is, what experiences with immigration have you had as a teacher or caregiver, and how do your experiences connect with the documentary textbook? Kind of falling back with the Trump election, I had a lot of students at that time whose parents were illegal immigrants, and during that time, when he started talking about deportation, all that stuff, And I knew what was going on. I knew, the election, what they were saying. What I didn't realize was that, a lot of my students' parents were illegal immigrants. You kind of know because you hardly ever see the fathers in the picture. It was always the mothers, and they're really real distant. Even the students will tell me, like, oh, my dad's not from here, and blah blah blah. So when that happened with the election, we had almost 6-7 of my students missing for an entire week, and I was like, you know what, something's going on. So after the third missed day, I started, I'm gonna call them, I'm gonna see what's going on. Maybe there's a bug, or maybe something's going on with the families, something like that. So right before I was gonna call, I had a mother come in and tell me, hey, this is what's going on, we're scared, so we're in hiding right now. And I was like, oh my gosh, these parents are scared for their lives, so they're taking their kids out of school, they're doing everything, just dropping off the face of the earth, because they don't want to go back. So they were in hiding. And I think, that relates to the book because that's where communication comes in. I was on page 15 where it says, one of the primary stated goals of most parent involvement initiatives is to create meaningful two-way communications between educators and caregivers regarding a student's education. So that is extremely important, because if I had that close relationship, if I had that great communication, that two-way communication, then I would have known, like, hey, these parents are hiding because they're illegal immigrants because of the election that's going on right now. And I was shocked, and I was kind of upset because all this is going on, and I didn't realize, I didn't snap. How could I, right? But I think that's where communication comes in. I think that's where we sit, we talk, and that mom had actually told me that the rest of the kids that were missing was because they're also illegal immigrants, and they were in hiding as well. And it's sad to hear that, and it's sad to have to go through that. It's sad to have to live every day of your life being scared, not knowing if you're gonna get picked up by ICE or not. Question 4. Please refer to specific sections of the book that affected you strongly and state why. So I think one was communication. I think that is extremely important to have in the classroom. Like I said, we have to get to know our parents, and our parents have to get to know us to build that strong relationship so we can understand what's going on. We can't expect our students to come in, with the behavior and like, oh, you're just acting up. No, there's something causing that behavior. So let's sit down, let's talk. Has there been a transition in the family? Has there, anything at all? What's going on? Another one would be parent involvement. And that is on page 26. As reflected in Joyce Epstein's 2010 overlapping spheres model, the aim is to create consistency between homes and schools. So that, to me, basically says that we need to have that close involvement with the parents. Bring them in, have them do homework, have them do the bulletin board. I'll have my parents help me set up with breakfast. I'll have them take homework home and get everything ready for the next week's homework so we can pass it out. Anything to involve them, and that makes them, feel included. That makes them feel welcome, and that also opens up a way for a great relationship, for great communication. Another one was page 39. And this one was about acknowledging both parents. It says, one important step is overtly acknowledging positions of power that most teachers hold vis-a-vis immigrant parents. Within face-to-face interactions, educators largely control the agenda, who gets to speak, and how contributes or evaluate. This entails great responsibility because seemingly innocuous moves, such as placing materials in front of mothers, send messages that mothers are the only involved caregivers. So a way to do that is making overt eye contact with both givers and have that open conversation. I think addressing both parents is important as well. Keep both of them involved, not just one. Keep the fathers involved as well. And it's one of the main things here at Head Start is we have a lot of father nights. We want the fathers to be involved, not just the mothers all the time. And I think that is it. Thank you.